right, good afternoon. Welcome to day 2 of senior speeches. Now, I'm a parent of a 5th grader, but in 5th grade now, not when you were there, but the 5th graders do what we call the Trinitarian Academic Catechism now. And so I've spent many nights and weekends with my 5th grader memorizing these 37 catechisms. And as I do and have been doing this, I think of you guys on just a couple of them that are appropriate to what we're doing today. What is history? History is the story of God's working all things, great and small, together for his glory. His work extends from creation in the beginning, life in the past, and government of all things in both the present and the future. I was thinking about Mr. Miller's comment yesterday about all these things in your life give glory to God. What advantage is it to know history in your history? Because whether you like it or not, everyone's a historian. All data exists in the past. You're telling us stories about things in the past, so they're your history. We should know history. That way we may be patient in trouble, thankful in prosperity. Patient in trouble, Kentucky basketball, right? Thankful in prosperity, right? And that in all things we place a firm trust in our faithful God and Father, in whom we live, move, and have our being. And then finally, the other one I wanted to share was from mathematics, just kidding. From why did God create language? Why did God create language fluency? We are to declare his name to kings and princes, widows and orphans, so we may comfort the afflicted, speak mercy to the impoverished, and woe to the sinfully comfortable. So these things, as our 4 coming up today, remind me of what we're doing here and giving these speeches. And before I know it, the 5th graders will be up here, blink, and they'll be giving a senior speech. I'm sure some parents can identify with that. Well, here they are. They were 5th graders at one day, and now they're 12th graders ready to bless us with their senior speech. Today we have Mr. Daniel Gimlick, Berkeley Harris, Brady Goldberg, and May Champion. So you're up first, sir.
Hello, Eastwood students, faculty, and parents. Thank you for coming to the second day of senior speeches. Now, I know most of you do not want to be here, but I have something that might spark your interest. School is like gambling. I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain. What is a gamble other than a decision you make before knowing the outcome? What is the point of placing bets if you do not know what you will get in return? Why should you even gamble in the first place? These are all good questions, but what if I told you that every single one of you in this room made a gamble this morning? Every morning you decide whether to wake up on time or not, to hit that snooze button one more time, or to actually get up so you won't be late to school or work. This is life, but this is also what school is like. What would you be gambling on in school? You gamble on your education. For example, when a test is coming up, you have 3 options. You can 1, study every night and most likely get a good grade, but you miss out on hanging out with your friends. Option 2, you forget about the test until the night before and then cram all the material into your head and pray that you get a good grade. And then option 3, you don't study at all until about 5 minutes before the test and most likely get a bad grade. That is where the most gambling takes place in your schooling, and I took that gamble often, maybe too many times. But choosing whether to study or not is the gamble of school. Sometimes those long amounts of studying do not pay off, and you fail the test no matter what, no matter how much you study for it. It's frustrating because you put in that effort expecting something good, but instead you failed. It's also a gamble deciding on what subject you want to study for the rest of your life. For example, if a student wants to study aerospace engineering, but their school does not offer it, then they have to make a bet. A bet on whether to forget that passion of theirs or to continue learning it. It's a hard decision, and a lot of students choose option B, but the students who don't, they become something special. They become special not because they achieve great things, but because they took a risk and placed that bet, hoping that it would pay off someday. If it does, then that is amazing, and they won. But if it did not, then that is still okay, because there are infinite amounts of subjects to learn and an infinite amount of things to be interested in. So, a bit of a twist here, but this speech is not just a message for the students, but also to the teachers. So students, you can stop listening now. Teachers, your job is also a gamble. I know it's hard to think about, but it's true. I mean, some of you have been teaching for decades now, and you have seen many students in your time who you just couldn't figure out or you just couldn't understand. Sometimes it is not your fault. Sometimes. If a student does not want to listen or does not want to learn the subject, then they won't. At that point, it is fully on the student and not on you teachers. That is why your jobs are a gamble, because the students are a gamble. You get so many different personalities and different interests that it is impossible to teach every kid how you would like them to be taught. You are gambling with the education of the students and in their futures. But if they don't put in that effort or they find a different interest, then that is when you have to accept that you have lost the bet. But there are plenty of students who you have bet on and won big time. Those students found their passion in your class. They saw how you were teaching and thought, I want to be like them. I want to know like them. They are inspired by your job, and that is the beauty of teaching. That is why you teach, to see students become like you and to see your passion and become inspired by it. You are raising the future generation of workers with your teaching. Keep doing what you're doing because your teaching might not be for everyone, but it is for someone, and that someone will be somebody that you are proud to have taught. All right, now back to the students. To those who didn't take that bet for their futures, why didn't you make that bet? Is it because you're scared of the future? Maybe you just can't view yourself being successful in that field. Maybe you wouldn't have been proud of the path that you could have taken. These fears are very common and are often the reason for people not following their dreams and passions. But in the end, will any of those fears matter? We will all return to dust eventually, so why hesitate? Why should you be scared? You should follow your dreams, your passions. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. God is telling you to go take that risk and follow your gift because he gave you that gift. How amazing is that? And here you are doubting if you could ever be that person that God made you to be. But you can, and you will. Because if you just make that leap of faith and risk it all, you will come out the other end a better you. Now that you have made that risk, double down on it. Put all of your time, willpower, effort, and money into your God-given talent. He has given this to you for a reason. Go and serve him. You should have a sanguine mindset when going forward in your passion because he made you for this purpose. And when you put your faith in him, then he will let your gift, your purpose, shine. Trust in God because no matter what circumstances you are in, he will give you a chance to be great. When this opportunity arises, you must take action because this is the moment when he wants you to fulfill the purpose that he created you for. This is the moment where you have won the bet and all your hard work and effort has finally paid off. Now, to thank some people who gambled on me. Thank you to Ms. Patrick and Ms. Austin. Thank you to Ms. Patrick and Ms. Austin for running everything. Thank you to Ms. Patrick and Ms. Austin for being my #1 supporter and for never letting me give up. You both helped me get through my time at Eastwood, so thank you. Thank you to Ms. Taylor for actually teaching me math. I'm pretty sure you are the only reason why I can do even a little bit of it. Mr. Miller, thank you for actually letting me write a speech on gambling. I never thought that would or could ever happen. Thank you to Miss Amanda for being the backbone of this school and for running everything. Where is she? You are incredible, and this school would not function without you. To my parents, thank you for gambling on me and for believing in my interests and never discouraging me in them. You guys mean the world to me. To my grandma, thank you for always keeping me on my toes and for never letting a day not be interesting. Thank you to my grandpa. I know you're not here anymore, but I hope that I can become a man that was as good as you were. You could do everything, and I hope that one day I could do the same. To my brother, how do I put this? You are one crazy kid, but man, I would not be the same person without that crazy kid. Thank you for always bringing a smile on my face, even on my worst days. You're the best, and I'm going to miss you. To the Stooges, holy smokes, we actually made it. I can't believe we all survived. I thought for sure at least one of us would not make it, but we did, and I couldn't ask for better friends to get me there. Thank you, and as a parting sentence, I would just like to say one final thing. Let it ride.
A few weeks ago, I was at a softball game, standing with my mom and a few other people, when the flashlight on my phone turned on. After being informed, I began to be identified with a string of different names: Grandma, Unc, and one I wish had never been said. Someone laughed and said, You're so geriatric. Now, I'm not sure how many of you knows what that means, but I did not. And without even thinking, I laughed and responded, "Joke's on you. I don't even know who that is." Now, I've said many dumb things in my life, but never have I assumed that a word meaning old was a reference to a man with the first name Jerry and the last name Atrick. I tell you this today because in the last 4 years, I've learned that failure is inevitable and sometimes really funny. And if you know me, then you know I don't normally find moments of failure quite as funny. In fact, they're often devastating. For me, failure has never been just a bad grade or a dumb mistake. Sometimes it looked like other people seeing me struggle. Sometimes it looked like not being able to predict an outcome. And if these last 4 years have taught me anything, it's this: you're gonna fail. A lot. But strangely enough, there was something sweet that came from failure. It exposed what I leaned on. It revealed the things I trusted, and it showed just how deeply I had tied my peace to control. I made control my idol. It was with me through every assignment, game, decision, and late night. We succeeded together, and when things fell apart, boy, did we fail together. My idol never served the purpose I thought it would. I thought it would protect me, but control is deceptive. It asks you to chase outcomes that were never yours to decide, and then, when they inevitably fall apart, it whispers that the failure must be yours too. With this idol and my hubris, I clenched my hands around everything the Lord entrusted me, and sometimes even the things He didn't. Grades, relationships, plans, people, the future, my family, my image, my worth. I held all of it so tightly that I began to confuse control with faithfulness. I didn't realize how deeply this idol had taken root. It disguises itself as discipline, ambition, responsibility, or just caring a lot. Until one day, you realize your peace depends entirely on whether life is going according to your plan. And every failure determines your worth. But I'm learning that failure isn't the enemy, and that people seeing you struggle isn't a weakness, that things not going according to your plan doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Learning this has been one of the most challenging but kindest gifts. Failure forces dependence, and it was in learning this dependence that the Lord began to give me a new picture of what struggle really is. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desires in a sun-scorched land. He will strengthen your bones. You shall be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Isaiah 58:11. In the last 3 years, this became the truth I had to return to constantly. In seasons that didn't end when I'd hoped, in struggles that lingered longer than I was prepared for, in moments of loss that didn't make sense, in waiting for change and fear for what the future might look like, when strength looked less like fixing and more like enduring. And recently, the Lord gave me a picture of this verse I hope to never forget. When I had the chance to travel to Europe with my class, I was so excited. But, if I'm being honest, I was also being challenged. If I left the country, how would I ever be adequately prepared for the trials that may be waiting for me when I get home? The Lord has spent the last couple years stretching me and allowing me to struggle in ways that I couldn't cover up, all while asking me to open my hands and trust Him with whatever I held. And leaving for that trip felt like yet another command to release control, to trust, to step back not with clenched fists but with open hands. And for me, that's what a valley is, a place where what I can't control is placed directly in front of me. After our 10-hour flight and airport security flipping through my Bible to make sure that I didn't stash my illegal substances there, we got on our bus that took us to our hotel. I remember sitting by the window and looking out at the outskirts of Rome. Of course, after we collectively sang Party in the USA, it was breathtaking. The mountains were beautiful. But a specific set of mountains caught my attention. In between two mountains was a river. It was flowing quietly through a valley, and as I stared at it, the Lord was so kind to use that image as comfort, because valleys can feel lonely. I think that's a feeling everyone can relate to. Late night studying, pressures to perform, exhaustion in general. The moments when everyone around you seems fine and you wonder if you're the only one struggling. But the beginning of the verse came back to me. The Lord will guide you continually continually, not occasionally, not on mountaintops, not only in moments of successes, but in the valley, especially there. That promise is what gives us a reason to keep going, because it means we're not wandering aimlessly, we're being led, and we have a good guide. Then I thought about the water, because when I think of water, I think of life. And I was struck by the fact that water collects in the valley more than anywhere else. In fact, it's the very thing that shapes the valley. What a God. What a God that turns the consequences of our fallen nature into something with purpose and life. To make the hardest places be the very place where life gathers. The Lord promises that we will be like a well-watered garden with strengthened bones in dry lands. How kind is our God that the places that feel the driest often become the places where he produces the most life. The very hardships we resent are often the places where he strengthens us. The valley is not where life ends. It's where life collects. It's where fruit begins. The valley stood out to me because it didn't look like all the other valleys. The water had filled it so fully that it looked like a stream of life between two mountains. In fact, if I hadn't have used my imagination, I would have completely forgotten the valley under the water. And I thought of the final promise. You shall be like a spring whose waters never fail. A spring goes forth. It moves outward. It brings life beyond itself. That is what he does with our valleys. He turns them into places from which grace flows outward. What once wounded us becomes refreshment for others. What once broke us becomes a testimony. And that is what these last 4 years have been teaching me. Not perfection, not control, but surrender. To realize that failing and struggling isn't something to be hidden, but used as an instrument in the Redeemer's hands. To let what people see not be a false facade of perfection, but the grace of God working through struggle. To live in a manner worthy of the gospel. To walk through valleys in a way that allows the Spirit to pour life into the hurt and let it overflow unto others. Because maybe the greatest testament of faith is not how we stand on the mountaintop, but how we walk through the valley, remembering that joy isn't a personality trait, but a heart posture, and that we have the same calling through life's greatest joys and life's greatest sorrows. In the words of Charles Spurgeon, I've learned to kiss the waves that throw me against the rock of ages. He so often reminds me of his faithfulness through his people, the ones who chose to walk beside me. So before I finish, I want to take a moment to thank those people. Mr. Wales, you've taught me to love math despite my frequent failures. And to start with what I know. I know the character of God, and that's where I'll always start. Thank you for your hard-fought investment in me, and for letting me blow bubbles in your class. Mr. Gibbons, once you thanked God for the opportunity to struggle in a prayer. This completely shifted the way that I view affliction. Thank you for teaching truth and giving me the opportunity to see the good and the beautiful. Ms. Minshew, I strive to match your compassion and gentleness. I've enjoyed every opportunity to be around you, whether that be a beach trip or being in your 9th grade class as a junior. Thank you for being such a wonderful homeroom teacher. At least, I assume you were. We both know I was only there like 3 times. I love you so much. Thank you. Mr. Schmidt, thank you for challenging me in my pursuit of the Lord, whether in class, life, or as my thesis mentor. I'll miss your wisdom, humility, and alter ego white chocolate, but being honest, I'll miss your wife more. Love you, Ms. Schmidt. My class, thank you for being the most welcoming class I have ever had the joy of being in. There have been many mountains and many valleys. Y'all handled it with grace and endurance. Thank y'all. To my grandparents, thank you for coming to every game and every event. Thank you for loving us and making that clear. You've been there since day one. Thank you. Livy and Lorelei, thank you for walking alongside me in every season and for learning with me how to struggle gracefully. Mr. Danny, thank you for being the most encouraging person in my life and for challenging me to question everything, not being complacent with normalized ideals. I hope to make half the impact on someone else as you have me. Dad, thank you for entertaining any idea I've come up with and for being the person who taught me the best time to plant a tree. My ambition stems from you, and for that I say thank you and thanks a lot. Miss Ashley, thank you for walking alongside me in every valley, for challenging my fears by reminding me what a gift it is to have open hands. Thank you for teaching me to live moment by moment, day by day. Thank you for allowing me to join your family occasionally and live at your house often. I love you. Miss Brooke, thank you for using your perspectives to widen my views. You're so wise, and I've loved every endeavor to seek the Lord with you. No one will ever know how much of my people skills came from watching you love people well. Mom, thank you for being not only my mother, but also my friend. I'll miss giving each other advice and telling each other the exciting things the Lord is teaching us about his character. You've shown me what it means to suffer well. I love you. My siblings, I have loved almost every second of being your older sister. Shepherd, you never fail to make me laugh. Never stop being you, but maybe chill out a little bit. Chandler, you are so kind and have such a servant's heart. I hope that I have demonstrated well how to serve with love, but in my shortcomings, I hope you've seen the Lord refine me. I love you a lot, and I'm cheering you on. Harper, you are incredibly strong-willed, and unfortunately, I am too. I'm not sure anyone else has seen more of my sinful nature than you, and there's no one I would rather see me wrestle with my pride in order to ask for forgiveness. You've seen me cry over my failures and watch me learn the lesson I spoke about today. If I've shown you nothing else, let it be that you can't earn grace you accepted. You're going to do such great things, and I can't wait to watch. I'll miss traveling to softball games with you and doing karaoke, choosing the songs that I know you don't know and watching you make up the words. That will always be my favorite pastime. I'll be back all the time, and regardless of where I am or what's happening, I'm always on your team, and I'm always here for you. So, as I leave these last 4 years behind, and as I walk into the valleys still to come, I pray I do so with open hands, because the Lord is still guiding me, the water is still collecting, and his promises still do not fail. So as the great philosopher Reba McEntire once said, consider me gone.
Hello, everyone. If I had to describe high school in one way, I'd describe it as a place that we all know, and hopefully that we all love, the Chick-fil-A drive-thru line. I know it sounds silly, but just bear with me. I remember being in 8th grade, getting ready for high school, and honestly, just being excited for everything. I was thinking about all the fun I was going to have, all the people I was going to meet, and everything I was going to do. Back then, graduation felt so far away, like it wasn't even real. Very similar to seeing that bright fluorescent lights on the Chick-fil-A sign from the interstate. It looks a little blurry from how far away you are, but anyone can recognize it. I knew that at Chick-fil-A, the options were endless. It was shiny and new, with tons of new people in it. This is what high school seemed like. As I started to get older and more mature, or so I thought, I would think about what it would be like to be grown up. Though I didn't really understand what that meant, and I still kind of don't, I just knew I was ready. I was excited. So if it's anything like seeing that Chick-fil-A sign while I'm driving, I was hungry, and I was excited to get in line. Though I was fooled by those bright lights, my mom said I still had to go. Then high school actually started. That's when it felt like circling the restaurant, not even at the menu yet, just driving around and around again. Every time you pass by, you see people at the window getting their food, leaving. That's what it's like every year. You watch the seniors graduate and move on, and you're still here, still in line. After a while, it doesn't feel as exciting. What used to feel fun feels repetitive. Even the playground outside doesn't look fun anymore. It's just a reminder that we're going in circles. All of a sudden, I had to make choices. What sports I was going to play, what classes I was going to take, Spanish or French, anatomy or physics. And those decisions, they felt like they mattered. I realized through some good decisions and, trust me, some bad decisions, everything I do affects my future, either for the better or for the worst. Even when I wasn't completely sure what I was doing, I learned that the most important thing that I could do was keep working hard. Then comes the part that nobody likes, and I mean no one, the paying. Nothing in high school or Chick-fil-A comes free. Well, maybe the occasional brownie for my points or an easy quiz grade, but seriously, Every assignment, every test, every practice, every late night, it costs something. Your time, your effort, your energy, and even your sleep. A lot of my sleep. There were plenty of moments when I just didn't want to pay. I didn't feel like putting in the work, when it would have been easier just to go back to bed. But that's not how you get through the line. You can't just sit in your car and expect to end up at the window. If you don't move forward, the line keeps moving without you. And the people who actually make it to the front, the ones who got what they came for, they were the ones who were willing to pay the price. Not all at once, but little by little, assignment by assignment, practice by practice, late night by late night. It's the only way through it. And then there's the hardest part, the waiting. If you've ever been in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru line, you know exactly what I mean. Sometimes the line moves fast, sometimes the line moves slow. Sometimes it feels like you're not even moving. But really, like you're just sitting there, inching forward, wondering if it's even worth it. High school feels the same way. There are moments where everything clicks and you feel like you're making real progress. But there are some moments of doubt, frustration, and repetition. Times where you feel like you're stuck, or even going in circles, or not getting anywhere at all. Another part that can be difficult is how you can't always see the results right away. But here's what I've learned. Even when it feels slow, you're still moving forward. Even when it doesn't feel like it, progress is happening. Growth is happening. You don't always notice it right away. But then one day, you look up and you're at the front of the line. That's what senior year feels like. All of a sudden, graduation isn't some distant thought. It's right here. But this isn't really the end. It's just the next step. And that's really exciting. It's also kind of uncertain. Every part of the drive-thru mattered. The excitement at the beginning, the decisions you made, the effort you put in, even the moments that felt slow or frustrating, all of it shaped who I was and who I've become today. High school wasn't always easy. Trust me, it's not easy at all. But it was worth it. Because now we've reached the end of the line, we've put in the time, we've done the work, and now it's time to move forward and enjoy what we've ordered, by eating it, of course. As I move into a different era in my life, I want to pass on a few tips to the younger generation. The biggest thing I wish I could have done better was learn how to take really good notes. Now that may seem silly, but trust me, when you have classes like Mr. Miller's chemistry and Dr. Taylor's history, notes are very important. Another thing is using all of your resources. If your teacher gives you a book to read, just read it. Trying to find ways to cheat and get around things only makes life harder. Also, staying awake in class, I think Mr. Miller must have added that. But now I want to mention a few people who actually make my life easier. Miss Amanda, thank you for everything that you do. Nothing goes unnoticed. Miss Taylor, thank you for all of our talks we've had and all the lessons you've taught me, and all the men's. Blake Harrison and Coach Moore, thank you for being strong Christian men. I could talk to you about anything, no matter how dumb it is. I want to thank my entire family. I'm related to a surprising amount of people, so thank you all for being such big supporters in my life. Thank you to the Bennetts and the Westons. Y'all love me even though we aren't blood. You're all amazing people. Next, I want to thank my best friends, Lila Goldberg, Tripp Weaver, Jack Cornwall, and my beautiful girlfriend, Lorelei Weston. You are the people who encourage me the most. We have so many funny and stupid memories together, I can't even count them. But trust me, I cherish them all. Lastly, I want to thank my parents. Some of you may know my father passed away when I was 9 years old. And while he wasn't in my life for a very long time, all he wanted to do was instill in me how to be an honorable man. He would say all the time, Goldbergs never quit. This was his motto. And this is something that I didn't fully understand when I was there, but now pushing through high school is really starting to click. Next, I want to thank my substitute father, Kyle Bennett. or how Lila and I called him when my mom and him first got married, Mr. Dad, sir. You've played a huge role in my life and who I've become today. Family has its ups and downs, but you chose our family. You choose to never leave us, no matter how hard it is. Thank you. And lastly, to my mom, I apologize, I'm definitely gonna cry, who is a retired Air Force major that graduated from Villanova University and is not only in seminary school, but is also teaching a class at AUM. She is the strongest, hardest working person on this planet. She has dumped everything she has into her children, and I am so grateful to you and everything you have done for me and my family. Thank you. Thank everyone who has helped me in this stage of my life. And to anyone who is still circling that drive-thru, your food will be here soon. And trust me, it's worth it. Roll Tide.
I first heard my second favorite artist at Cafe Luisa on a summer day in 2023. I was eating gelato with my mom, Yates, and Miss Molly when I heard Stick Season. My music taste was changed forever. Noah Kahan has been one of my top artists on Spotify ever since. If you aren't familiar, Noah Kahan writes about feelings of growing up, chasing dreams, and leaving your reality in a way no other artist previously has. My car songs consist of almost entirely Noah Kahan, which, whether appreciated or not, must be listened to by the people that I drive. To be specific, You're Gonna Go Far is my favorite. He takes this idea of going far and transforms how scary the original calling seems to be into a feeling everyone can recognize. Everyone has a calling, whether it's to stay in their hometown, continue to grow there, or pick up, move countries, and start a new journey. Romans 10:15 says, "And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news." These truths are told to us by God, but are not only revealed in the Bible, but in everyday life. Like looking outside or talking to your best friend, you can see the image of God. By seeing his image more, you become a better listener for what he has in store for you. If God calls you to go far, then you gotta go far. In songs like New Perspective, Call Your Mom, and You're Gonna Go Far, Kahan contrasts his hometown's expectations with his desire to leave. In the end, he knows leaving his town to begin his next journey will be supported and ultimately work out for the good. In the song New Perspective, Kahan expresses the feelings that come along with growing up. Ideas change as you learn, people come and go, and life seems different, even if you wish they stayed the same. Every step you take or every grade you complete adds to your experiences and can change your outlook. 12 years at one school really makes you consider if the future will be as certain as the past. Each summer, I knew when fun events would be, where my classes would be, and the backpack I would have. Now, I can't even figure out what bedding I need to buy. The high school to college shift will be very different, but totally worth it. You and all your new perspectives now, wish I could shut it in a closet and drag you back down, are critical lyrics to New Perspective, introducing the idea that old ways, although familiar, could keep you from growing. Through challenges in high school, you learn new things and have new ideas. All that shapes you to become a better student, friend, sibling, and person. If we look back too often, we become too obsessed with what once was. But if we look too far into the future, we forget that we can't get there without listening, learning, and being appreciative of all the people pouring into our lives now. Change is essential to growth, which, in turn, deepens our understanding of the world around us. Call Your Mom is another famous Kahan song. In this song, a friend of Kahan is ready to leave their town, but is scared to leave their family behind. This song is a promise to support them and their family. The mom knows that by her kid staying in town, they could not truly begin their life. Mom is always supportive. Talking to my mom at the end of the day is definitely my favorite part of my routine. She listens to my good days with a smile and comforts me on my hard days with a hug. Whether it is good or bad, she's there supporting me. Far too often, I needed my mom to sit in my room with me while I did my homework because the amount was too stressful to face alone. I would get my homework done in silence, yet it always comforted me that she was there, just in case. In fact, After the phone box rule was implemented, I often find myself emailing her just to talk. College is going to be a big change, but I know I will always be able to call my mom. Growing up might mean you leave home, but it doesn't mean you lose home. You're Gonna Go Far is Khan's graduation anthem. Here he explains that sometimes to find the answer, you have to leave what you know. It's a scary feeling to move on from what you know, but your community cheers you on. The dreams you have to chase are more important than the security you have now. Without change and listening to this Go Far call, you stay stagnant and limit yourself. This Go Far call differs from person to person, of course. Maybe for some, it's going far during the summer for camp. For others, this call is going somewhere out of state for college. Without fully understanding where the root of this Go Far call is coming from, you can't understand why it's telling you to leave and what you're supposed to do with it. Through answering the call, you follow a greater purpose. In 2022, I had the opportunity to take a mission trip to Stavanger, Norway, with my family and another family from my church. We are not doing what you typically think of when you hear about a mission trip. No houses were built and no VBS was held. Instead, we were able to just visit with the missionary family and continue to show our support through community, arguably one of the most important aspects of the church. My 2022 visit definitely took my plans and scrambled them around. I went from wanting to be a history teacher to wanting to study history better to get a different understanding of God's hand through the ages. These nations that I have now learned about did not have letters sent by Paul or hear Jesus' direct teaching, but God is always present. Also, while in Norway, I learned about the vitality of Christian community. God calls us to join together to praise him. So, even if you're far, the birds still sing the praises of God. You may be thinking, what does missionary work have to do with Noah Kahan's songs? To that I say, transcendent truths. These truths are objective truths that exist throughout the physical world. They represent ultimate reality tied to divine, spiritual truths that remain unchanged by human experience. These truths are part of the common grace that God extends to all his creation and can be seen throughout all time and in every medium. Through reading the Bible and the deepening of our faith, we can see truth throughout the world, even in Noah Kahan's songs. Lyrics in You're Gonna Go Far state, pack up your car, put a hand on your heart. We can reason that this call, as Christians, is the calling God has for us. Whether it's to go far to spread his word or become the best student you can be, it is all for his glory. In New Perspective, growing up means learning more. This learning more is learning more about God's goodness and what following him means. We can learn through others how to follow Christ better, like in Call Your Mom. Through our parents in particular, we learn more about him and what it means to show others to him. In You're Gonna Go Far, we hear how exciting the challenges of tomorrow are. These challenges can be faced with a smile as God walks through them with us. Each step of the way, we grow more obedient. Through our obedience, God's call for us becomes more evident. After coming back from Norway, I found so much joy from people asking me how my trip was or what we did. I could talk about my time there for hours. Being the most talkative in the room or the best at explaining things is not what I'm known for. Yet, I could hear God telling me through these conversations, go and share my good news. This experience made me a better listener to the call God has for me. I'm now able to hear what God has for me through the most important means, scripture, but also through neo-modern emo folk songs. God speaks to us in mysterious ways, so listen. Often it's hard because our sinful selves want what we think is best, but far greater are the plans Christ has for us. Through full obedience, the weariness of not knowing what is to come is not so scary. From sitting under the porch light with your friends, drinking orange juice in the kitchen, or studying Paul Revere, we can see God and his goodness. If you're called to go far, then you gotta go far. It's not just lyrics, but a call from our Creator. So, thank you to all the people that have helped me listen to this call and to prepare me for what's to come. And of course, Noah Kahan, for being way better at explaining things than me.
All right, thank you, our four speakers for today. Students, as you were listening to that, whether you knew it or not, you were learning. There's one thing that people can't not do, and that's learn. Now, where the conflict you have with me in class comes from is what you're actually learning. You believe you should be learning better Minecraft strategies. I prefer you to learn something else. But here's the thing. In all that we do, everywhere we are, all the time, we are learning. It's what we've been made to do. We can't avoid it. During these speeches, some of you learned what it's like to listen to a complex speech. Others of you learned what the back of your hand looks like a little bit better. But regardless of what you spent this time doing, you were learning. And what we heard in these speeches today was that what really decides what you learn is your attention. Whatever you focus your attention on is what you will learn. And you can learn from everything. You can learn from anything. You can learn from gambling. Before we laugh at that, Blaise Pascal, in his examinations of chance and odds, was driven to faith by the actual measurements of probability. When we have the beauty of nature, the psalmist, James the Just, brother of Christ, saw truth, spiritual truth, as they looked at nature, the beauty and magic of nature. Jonathan Edwards, that great preacher, looked to music to see the complex interrelations of harmony as the perfect metaphor for the love of God. And no one other than Brady has ever learned something from the line in Chick-fil-A, but it doesn't mean it's not of value. Years from now, we may be saying 2050 poet laureate Brady Goldberg explains the beauty of even waiting in line. And the reason is that others, great thinkers, the only reason Blaise Pascal did not write about Chick-fil-A is because it hadn't been invented yet, and peanut oil was illegal in France at the time. But everything that happens to us is an opportunity for learning. It's attention that matters. Wherever your attention is, that's what you'll learn. If you cast your attention on things of little value, you'll learn things of little value. If you cast your attention, and if you see through your attention the greater truths, the things that lie behind the very things we look at, well, then that learning will be of greater value. So again, I'm going to close this in prayer. Once I've done that, come congratulate these people who've shared with us what they've learned. And I'm sure several of their parents weren't sure they've learned anything, but now you've heard it. They have learned. Come congratulate them. They've done an excellent job. And then students, you are dismissed to swim back to the upper school over there and to be picked up. But if you would, please first bow your heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, you are the God of communication. You are incarnate as the Word itself. Through your word you create, through your word you speak to us. As you speak to us, Lord, let us give it our full attention. May we learn from your creation, from your word, from the experiences of our fellow Christians, from your fellow image on this earth, Lord. Let us pay attention and learn. Let us grow. And bless us all here this day, that our minds may be more open to learning, more open to your creation. More open, Lord, to your holy gospel. We pray all these things in your most holy name. Amen. One more hand for our graduates. Almost.